Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton. A shout out to our sponsors, Garage Beer, friends at Poncho, Hayes City Store, Prize Picks. We'll tell you more about them coming up later on. But of course, the show belongs to you. Show of the people, for the people, and by the people. Whatever you guys want to talk about. Because we got actual football to talk about. Training camp is up and going. So throw out your questions and comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat. One of the big stories that we'll be talking about today is the sixth man. Boom. How about that? Boom. Can y'all see it?
There you go.
Is that no? Yeah. Cole Hudson granted another extra year of eligibility, and looks like he will be a part of that 2026 team and get a chance to compete on the O-line. So, what it could end up being your sixth man, if that's the case, is basically a guy that's got 23 starts under his belt. So shout out to the O-line getting some much needed reinforcements and some help. So we'll talk about that coming up. But of course, lots of training camp news, notes, and nuggets. We can get into that, talk about what we saw from the media windows. Jerry, myself, Bobby, Jeff, whole team was out there. We got a chance to watch the team just yesterday, so we can get into that as well. All right, let's dive into it, Jerry. Let's get into it, because one of the things that was actually mentioned at the player availability stood out to me that I thought was interesting. Ryan Niblett was asked about the fastest players on the team. Did that surprise you, the guys that he mentioned as the fastest players on the team? For those who don't know who was mentioned, Ryan Niblett said the fastest players on the team for him, three fastest. He said Cohen Brown. Ryan Wingo did not surprise us. Ryan Wingo has been known as one of those guys. And then Warren Roberson.
Warren Roberson surprised me because that means he's gotten a lot faster since high school. Because when you look at his track times, I mean, he was 10.9-ish in the 100. Not saying he trained for it. His 200-meter time wasn't as fast as Nick Townsend, so it's like, but I know he's got that quickness. He's got that twitch to him. I think that tells you, obviously, that he's gotten faster since high school to be thrown in that type of category by Ryan Niblett. Either that or it's his best friend.
I didn't think about that. That's actually okay. I'll say this though about Warren Roberson, because I'm just gonna do this. I'm not trying to make this a Warren Roberson, kind of love fest. But you'd be surprised, considering he's one of those guys where the eye test of watching him doesn't necessarily back up the analytics about him. I'll just give you some metrics. These are metrics. Analytics is why sometimes people are like, I don't trust that stuff. And that's why I like to use it as just a data point in the evaluation, not the only data point in the evaluation. But Warren Roberson, according to PFF, sixth highest graded, if you're among SEC cornerbacks, sixth highest graded defender, second highest graded defender in coverage, eighth lowest catch rate allowed among SEC cornerbacks, fewest yards allowed in coverage per snap among SEC cornerbacks, and second lowest passer rating allowed when targeted among SEC cornerbacks. Metrics do not match up with the eye test, I'll agree. What I will say is that he had his best game of his career, actually, in that Michigan game. Last game that Texas played, he was really physical, right? He was a headhunter out there. Muschamp likes that kind of stuff. And I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe he has physically evolved. Maybe he has transformed his body and his skill set a little bit. I'm not saying Warren Roberson's about to compete for a starting spot of any kind. I'm just saying, maybe, a lot of the Warren Roberson haters should reevaluate. He's not.
I'll tell you something else that talks about or goes to his athleticism and his speed. He's a first team gunner.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, good point about that.
I mean, slow guys aren't gunners.
And I believe a lot of the cornerbacks are the guys in the gunner rotations. Cade Phillips, Grayson Littleton, Bo Masco, Warren Roberson. I believe it's kind of a cornerback party out there at the gunner, which, by the way, I was a gunner, so I do feel it is a good skill set. Your cornerbacks should be able to get out there and play gunner.
And Rod, you were one of the fastest players on the team. It does make sense.
At the time, yeah. But you know what? That's a great question. I wonder who the fastest guys when I played. Honestly, Nathan Vasher was in that category, but we had some freaks that were on the team at the time too that were kind of like track kind of.
Roy Williams.
Roy was fast. Yeah, Roy had football speed too that translated. Also track speed and football speed. Remember Victor Ike? Victor Eichel's
he was fast. He was a
day. He was like an awesome. Yeah, Victor Eichel's fast. We had a couple of
Flowers, Rod.
Montreal Flowers. So, yeah, I apologize. Trail should have been on the list. Career prematurely ended because of an injury, but I want to say Trail. He was like a legit 10-2, 10-3 guy, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 10-1, 5-2.
Yeah. No, he was legit. That's right.
He was one of those 9-9s, but it wasn't FAT back in the day.
That's right. Another one is, I know, blast from the past, Kendrick Turner. Still remember when the guy ran a 4.3. We were doing 40s off-season condition. Ran a 4.3, but slipped at the beginning of his 40 and still ran a 4.3.
He was a 10.5 guy, 10.4 guy in high school at Kimball.
Yeah, he was built there. He was a cornerback out of Dallas. I forgot what that.
Dallas Kimball.
Okay. Yeah. Good player. All right. Sorry, me going back in the past. Sorry about that. Let's get right to it. Let's get some super chats because we got a couple of them here. Remember, it's a shorter version of our live stream on Friday. So if you do have questions, throw them out there. We're just trying to make it a kind of ask us anything version of the live stream today. All right. Juan's up first with a super chat. Thank you very much, Juan. Good to hear from you. We appreciate the super chat. Says, what is your most surprising moment or shocking moment in this offseason? Mine was Muschamp hired. Yeah, you all thoughts? What was the biggest portal get that was a surprise? The Muschamp, I ain't gonna lie, I was shocked, but yeah, there's no doubt that getting rid of PK, considering PK had already built an elite defense, and you could have just, and he was, I think what Sark wanted from PK was to be more aggressive. All of the indicators, blitz rate, man rates, twists and stunts, all those indicators more indicate that he was getting more aggressive, but I don't think it was as aggressive as Sark wanted. So I think Sark got tired of, the evolution of PK, and he wanted someone that's just had that in their DNA, and that's Muschamp. So that there are a lot of things. One of my theories about this, before I give it to Jerry, is I think Sark has realized since 2023 that he's best in terms of the style of winning games is playing with a lead, all right, scoring first and playing basically the entire game with a lead, because that's when he's at his best. There have been 2 wins for Sark that he has been at a deficit or losing going into the fourth quarter and still won the game since 2023. Now, you've only lost 8 games, all right, since 2023. And 2 of those, you have 2 wins that you were losing going into the fourth quarter. Mississippi State last year, and then the Alabama game. Since 2023, those are your only 2 wins where you were losing going into the fourth quarter. Like that, Sark is a front runner. Yeah. His style is front running. Score first, score early, stay ahead. He's got, since 2023, 93% winning percentage when he scores first, 97% winning percentage when he's leading going into the fourth quarter. That's the recipe. And with Muschamp, see, because sometimes you rely on PK to have to adjust and adapt throughout the game, and by halftime, he's figured it out. But for Sark don't like that, because then it's a potential for me to be losing, in the second half, or losing going into the fourth quarter, and that's not when Sark's at his best. Sark realizes early on, I need splash plays on defense early on to flip the game in my favor for extra possessions, and negative plays so that I can get favorable field position, because that's what I want to do. I want to score early, score first, and keep the lead. And so I think that's what he ultimately wants. And Muschamp's style of defense will help him do that rather than a PK style of defense. So I don't necessarily think it was like, oh, PK sucked at this and at that. Every defensive coordinator is going to have things that, that they're lacking in, and things, their strengths and their weaknesses.
Like the first time a quarterback runs for 100 yards against Texas this year, and people are going to say, Muschamp, Kirby, Nick, that was their kryptonite.
Exactly. But it's I think it's about complementary football. I think it's about styles. And I think his style of offense with Muschamp's style of defense is how Sark sees himself as a championship coach.
Yeah. To answer that, obviously Muschamp from a Texas perspective. My most shocking moment nationally was Texas Tech trying to get Sorsby eligible when he had bet on a team he was a part of. That's still always going to be shocking to me. Biggest portal get, I'm going to say it was Rasheem Biles for me, because when Texas started the process in the portal linebacker, we had heard that this one may be tough for Texas. Texas was thinking about going after bigger guys. They did at the overhang position, but Biles isn't an overhang linebacker. that was Christian Allegro, who Texas will see against Ohio State. Some people say, well, they wanted Allegro over Biles, but that's not true. Those are different position guys. But there was a kind of a combo of that Biles may be hard to get, number one. I think a lot of people thought he might just end up at Ohio State or up north since he's from Pittsburgh. And then two, there was a thought, I think, going into the poll, with Anthony Smith, do we need a bigger guy?
Yeah.
But I think Biles is just too good a player at the end of the day. Once it got to, okay, we can actually get this guy. So that was my biggest surprise of the portal season for Texas.
No, it's a good one. I would say getting 2 running backs, though, to me was kind of a surprise. Well, they need 2 all-conference caliber running backs. It wasn't enough because I think they've learned their lessons about the running back position overall and the durability issues with it. Not issues, but you're playing longer seasons and more physical seasons in the SEC. So I think getting 2 of those guys was, to me, a realization by the staff going, no, we actually do need 2 starting caliber running backs. It would help us thematically, but we need 2, and because we know, knock on wood, one of these guys is not going to be able to handle a workload of an entire season. That's just unrealistic these days.
Neither one are big backs either, right? Yeah. So hey, Rod, to your point, I think this fact that Hollywood Smothers is back in college is kind of a shocker because we had Matt DeBuck, the coach at Cardinals down in Lauderdale, whose son is the deep snapper for Texas, and he's friends with Dave Doran because NC State's recruited some of his players. You know, those coaches get to be friends with those guys over time. And Dave Doran told Hollywood Smothers, you're ready for the pros. You need to just go in the NFL draft. And that the kid decides to bypass, okay, nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay in college for you. I think that's a little shocking when your head coach says, who's coaching for 3 years, said, hey, you're ready for the NFL, man.
That is wild.
And he's like, no thanks, coach. I'm going to stay in college 1 more year.
That is mind-blowing because these days it seems like, just a common sense, and I'm not going against young men, but at least that says if you're running back, you're being devalued. So you're not going to get the big contract initially, or you're not going to get your big money initially. So if you're a running back, that is better just go to the league as soon as you can, start playing for the second contract. Yeah. That's the common kind of logic and approach to it. He's taking the uncommon approach to it. He's still getting paid good money, NIL and revenue sharing. So, but in terms of the counsel to go to the NFL, it's shocking because I would think that most running backs in his situation, I would love to see the percentage. If somebody broke it down, I would say probably 85% of them would just go to the NFL after the season he had last season and getting that advice you just talked about. And yet he chose, no, I'm going to go to Texas and share the backfield with another all-conference caliber running back. That was a hell of a sales pitch by Stark and company.
And flipped him for Bama, which made it more fun.
And great point, because he could have been there and been more the focal point of the offense. He chose Texas for a specific reason. I think the sales pitch was better, so good for him. All right, good stuff there. Oh, my most shocking moment of the offseason, I'm going to say Sark calling out Tech, because he usually doesn't do stuff like that. He's not necessarily reserved, but Sark stays on task. He doesn't just start kind of taking shots at random programs. He's a very thoughtful guy, which I appreciate about Sark. That's why I like his media availabilities. I listen to everyone media availability Sark does because he's very thoughtful. You ask him a question, you can see him thinking about it and be like, okay, you know what? And he'll give you an answer that's surprising. That's actually different than Mac and Tom Herman, because I love Mac, but Mac was a filibuster guy. Mac was just trying to limit the amount of questions he was asked pretty much. And he was great at it, by the way. That's why he would have run for office and won. But so I like Sark when he's, bringing up the press conference. For him to call out Tech means he's been thinking about it. And he had the way that he wanted to say it. I think the blowback made him regret what he said, but that was thoughtful. He wanted to do that. Don't let Sark fool you like he got caught by surprise. Sark is a very thoughtful, eloquent, and articulate guy up there. He knew what he was doing. He called out Tech because he wanted that. He wanted that smoke, which I appreciate. I like that. That was surprising because he never does that, which supports the theory that he's just trying to take the heat off his quarterback. That he had that in mind. He had that ready, holstered and ready to go. Like, I need something, so y'all ain't talking about Arch. Here you go. And to me, that's still the best theory to this day as to why Sark called out Tech. Because he doesn't even play them. You're not in the conference. No reason to really – you don't get in that many recruiting battles with Tech. I mean, here and there. For the most part, you don't need to do that. Sark knew what he was doing, and brilliant, by the way. Still like that move. All right, Rocky P with a super chat. Thank you for that one. Appreciate it, Rocky P. Hope you're doing well. Says 4 weeks away from game week and the Friday co-op show. That's right, baby. Yeah. Woo! I'll give you a Ric Flair woo. He said, I asked you this last night, Rod, but you were on the Bobby B data plan. I was trying to do the show from a Starbucks, and it to hell with Starbucks Wi-Fi. It's screwed me up. So I apologize. He said, being out of practice yesterday, what do you miss about fall camp? Oh man, what I miss about it? Oh, that's great. I mean, I'm a competitor, so missing a competition. I mean, you don't get competition like that. And there's this anticipation for like those early days of fall camp. You've been in that long off season. I mean, it's all building up to a crescendo, which is training camp. You want to be at your best, at your peak emotionally. So one of my favorite training camp though at Texas had to be when I was a leader. And that's why when I see Jelani McDonald out there, like he's having fun with the drills and doing all the, the calls and the roll calls and all that kind of stuff. I love that 02 off season going to training camp because I was the leader of the secondary. So I got to call the shots pretty much, right? And I took a lot of pride in it. Like, no, my secondary, we're going to be one of the best in the country. We'll be prepared. We'll be, every drill, we're going 120, 130% focus, intensity. And I remember having that kind of pride in the leadership role that I had been, kind of given at that time, or it was handed down to me by the previous leaders on the team. And I'm sure it's a lot of the older guys, they're looking forward to that. I mean, it's not, you're prepared for training. And by the way, their training camps are easy. Their camp is child. Exactly. It ain't even through 2-a-days. They can't even have 2-a-days. But our day, it was, 2-a-days were brutal, but it was fun to be a leader during that time and help out the young guys. And to me, that was my favorite training camp was probably the 02 one. So appreciate it. That's a good question, though, Rocky. Appreciate that. All right. Before we get to super chats, let's thank a couple of sponsors before we dive into it. We'll take more questions, so throw your questions out there. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer really quickly. We appreciate our friends at Garage Beer. They do a great job of producing one of the best light beers I've ever had. It's one of my favorite light beers right now. It used to be kind of a hidden secret about how good Garage Beer is, but now you can find it anywhere. You do your grocery shopping, you find your wines and spirits, wherever you buy your light beer. Look for Garage Beer, only 95 calories, crisp and refreshing. They're not trying to impress you with their rich history or their secret brewing techniques or their fancy ingredients. All you care about is that it's great tasting, which it is. I can vouch for that, and that it is light. It's only 95 calories. Comes in traditional, but also comes in lime. I like the traditional, but the lime is pretty good too. So check it out for yourself. That's Garage Beer. The garage is always open with our friends over at Garage Beer. Also, let's thank our friends over at Prize Picks. While we're thanking sponsors, we appreciate our friends over at Prize Picks, and you will as well. Folks, Prize Picks right now, they have updated their offer. They've updated their app as well. It's why it's America's #1 sports picks apps right now. And honestly, it's about as simple as it gets for player picks. You choose more or less on player stats. That's it. If you're someone who likes teams instead of players, that's cool because Prize Picks got you covered there as well. You can now pick the winner on totals on games, even fights as well. Prize Picks available in most states, including the great state of Texas, California, Florida as well. So take your chances right now and jump on in. And now the features that they have are so cool. Right now you can follow different users. So if you like someone's picks, you can tell them, and with one click, if you want to follow your friends and troll your friends, you can do that too and have a little fun. And the best part is right now is a great offer. If you play your first $5 lineup right now and win, you'll get $150 in bonus lineup. So just make sure to use the code HMA when you sign up. And if you play $5 and you win, you'll get $150 in bonus lineup. That's Prize Picks code HMA. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. Thank you very much to our friends over at Prize Picks. We appreciate them for being sponsors and our partners here at On Texas Football. All right, let's dive back into.
Hey, Rod, I got one real quick.
Let's go.
AC Holloman brought this up, and I just linked this story to ontexasfootball.com. The best of all the SEC head coaches, the records versus top 25 teams for every SEC head coach was published by CBS in an article. I'm guessing, Rod, you probably have a good idea who the top two are.
Well, Kirby Smart's got to be up there.
Kirby Smart, 42-17, 71 win percentage against top 25 teams.
Oh, it's absurd.
That's absurd.
That is absurd. I don't know. Is it maybe?
It's obvious.
Is that Ryan Day? Is it Kalen DeBoer or Ryan Day? Which one?
No, the SEC head coach.
Oh, only SEC. Oh,
it's Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer has the highest winning percentage. He's 20-6, 77% winning percentage. I always say this about Bama fans: be careful what you ask for. If you want to get rid of this guy, are you really going to find a better football coach long term? Probably not. You're going to get into that. You're going to get into that rut. That bad rut you don't want to be in as a college football fan. If we need to replace this guy, we need to replace this guy, we need to replace this guy, we need to replace this guy over and over and over again. Beware, Alabama fans. If you think Dan Lanning's coming to Alabama, he's not. You're not the same program you were with NIL. You think Marcus Freeman's coming to Alabama? He wouldn't. You don't have the money from an NIL perspective. Bama fans better be careful. Then, Pete Golding doesn't count. 3 games.
I agree. That's not a sample. That's not a sample.
Brent Venables is 9-9.
Man, right on the money. Right on 50%. Huh? Good for him.
Josh Heupel, 12-16, 43% winning percentage. Elko's 6-8. Probably not a big enough sample size, but 43 winning percentage. Sark 25-35. So that's Washington, USC, and Texas versus top 25 opponents. So 42% winning percentage. And if anybody's wondering why Lane Kiffin took the LSU job, 15-26, 36.5% winning percentage. There are very few opportunities for a coach that's not at a blue blood program to take a blue blood level job. Yeah. He wanted his chance. He wanted his chance at one of those jobs, the coach at an LSU level school that you can win a national championship at. That's why I did it. Just look at that career record. He's always been up against it, man.
Well, not just his record, but look at the record of LSU, right? Yep. LSU has been one of those really unique programs where different head coaches of different, status been able to win there, right? You've had, Orgeron won a national title there. You had, Lane Kiffin. Nick Saban won a national title there as well. You had Les Miles win a national title there. Nick Saban is the GOAT, of course, but Les Miles and Ed Orgeron, those were kind of not all. Ed Orgeron was more of a lightning in a bottle, but Les Miles built up to it. But Les Miles wasn't considered an elite coach by any stretch. But I do think if you have the right concoction of culture and scheme at the right time, LSU, it doesn't take long at all. Like you can go from average to below average to championship caliber in overnight at LSU because of the talent available to you. And that's what Lane Kiffin's looking at. Didn't he joke that he had more 5-stars in this one offseason than he had his entire time?
Entire career.
At Ole Miss or whatever, his entire career. Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
I mean, look, the thing with him is it's also it's going to be so fascinating at LSU because Lane, I think, has matured not all the way, but a lot from where he was. So, I mean, he's still who he is. That personality is not going to change. But I would bet people who have coached with him said he's a more mature, more ready for a job like this. So now what are you going to do with it? Because this is because of kind of his personality and stuff, this is going to be his one shot. I mean, USC was kind of they had their issues starting and going on there. Probably wasn't maturity ready for that job. We'll see what he does at LSU.
Yeah,
this is a shot.
It is. Like I said, it's what LSU's been one of those programs where multiple head coaches have been able to reach the zenith there in a very short time. That had been the case in the SEC, right? Nick Saban, he was responsible for the Alabama run in modern history. What Georgia's done, yeah, you got a little bit of that, but that's mostly Kirby Smart has been responsible for their SEC titles in the modern era. You go look at the different SEC titles in the modern era for LSU, 3 different head coaches. Says a lot about LSU. All right, let's get back to the super chats. How about this one from Patrick? Thank you, Patrick, for the super chat. It says, are you gents buying the national media OU love? Yes, I've heard this too. I've heard the hype about OU. The defense, yes. No doubt. I trust that Brent Venables, his brand, is going to produce a top national defense. And some of the pieces they're bringing back. The offense, I'm not sure. I do think it's a formula that Oklahoma has, that Venables has trusted, which is an OC with a veteran quarterback who have been together, for multiple years in the same system, right? That's what Jeff Levy was with Dylan Gabriel, and I think now he's trusting that same formula on offense with Mateer. But I'm not sure if they got enough playmakers on offense.
Yeah, I want to. They're going to be top 5 defense in the country if they stay healthy enough. I don't even think there's any question about that. I mean, just look at who they have returning and who the guy calling plays is.
Yeah.
One thing Brent Venables addressed, the first thing he addressed at SEC Media Days was they have to run the football better. So at least they know where they have to make most improvement on this team. Like Sark mentioned, penalties first. Okay. I mean, Oklahoma knows that they have to help Mateer offensively. They have to be able to run the football. He has to be able to turn around and put the ball in somebody's stomach. And if Oklahoma shows an improved run game against Michigan, people can say whatever they want. Oh, it's not Michigan, blah, blah, blah. Michigan with Kyle Whittingham at the start of the year is going to have a lot of physicality and a lot of energy. I can't imagine how much of a disaster the last couple of years have been at Michigan with what you know now. Just being around the program, it's just been in turmoil, right? So now they're going to be a little bit past the turmoil from a head coaching standpoint. Michigan's going to bring it in that game. I'm not saying they're better, but it's not like they're going to roll over and get beat 45-0. Michigan still has good football players. And now back foot Bryce we'll see how much he's improved since year one, especially since the Citrus Bowl when he played off his back foot, more than quarterback I've seen in a while. But and that's why he's back foot Bryce. But Oklahoma runs the football well enough early in the season. Even if they run it pretty well against Georgia and lose the game, it's going to be hard to say Oklahoma's not going to be a really tough out for people. That's what I would say.
And you'll know
run it for 175 a game. I think it was 120 last year, which was dismal. So they got to get 155, 160 a game rushing. We'll see if they can.
Yeah, and the reason the run game is so important is because that complements, we're talking about complementary football, the great defense that everybody projects them to have. Like everybody says, defense is going to be good. But they can shrink the games with the run game. They're going to be hard to beat. And you'll know Oklahoma's going to be good early because they got such a tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Michigan early, but they got Georgia in the
at Michigan, at Georgia, first 4 games.
You're going to know everything you need to know.
If they can't run the football in those 2 games,
done. Yep. They got no shot. Totally agree. Good question there, Patrick. Appreciate it. How about this one from Catch the Wave X? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, now that Cole Hudson is back. Hey, that's right. He said, how much do you think he benefited from NFL training camp experience? That's actually good. Does it help improve his technique and give him a greater conceptual understanding of the game? It was a short time. I would love to try to go research kind of how long he was there. I mean, like 2 weeks. He definitely learned. I mean, that's what the NFL training camp is. It's a crash course in elite professional football. So I'm sure he learned in terms of what he learned. That I don't know, and how he can apply it to his time here at Texas. I mean, he's a guy with 23 starts. At worst case scenario, he's got to be your 6th man in the rotation somewhere, or 7th man. This guy's got 23 starts. So he's going to be a leader in that O-line room, and it's a guy that at least you've seen him on film in your system, and I think he'll improve. So I think his NFL experience will make him a better player. How much of a better player coming back here to Texas? That's interesting because can he still go out there and try to compete for that spot, that left guard spot, which is up for grabs right now in training camp?
Yeah. Look, I don't think it's going to be a short NFL camp is going to do a lot for him.
Yeah.
I think what does more for him is 46 games played and 23 starts. He's experienced the good and he's experienced the bad.
Yep.
And he's done it as a center and as a guard. So he's done it with the pressure of having to make calls as well. So he's got a lot of valuable experience. Do I think he's definitely going to win the job? I do not. I think it's a competition.
It is.
And I mean, like I said this morning, Rod, Jordan Coleman's taking reps in 11v11 at left guard with the twos. So I think they're giving multiple guys a look because they want to make sure they do the best they can to get it right.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think everybody, hey, we happy to have him back. Look at that. Boom. All right. We happy to have my man co-host back on the roster for sure. So congrats to him. All right, let's get back to, thank you for the question there, Castaway. We appreciate it. Back to the super chats from Juan. Thank you, Juan. We appreciate the super chats. Says Ed Jerry, this was for you. Very smart for Royal during the last visit to LSU for LSU versus Texas game. That was smart and savvy. I think I know what he's doing by doing that. Okay, what Juan? All right, thank you, Juan.
No,
Jerry, he's doing by doing that. Let me know.
He's throwing a master class at brand building into his recruitment. I give him a tip of the cap. He's keeping Florida fans engaged too. He's going to be at the LSU home opener against Clemson. Then he'll be at the Texas game against Ohio State in Austin. Then he'll be at the Florida Ole Miss game at the Swamp September 26th. Then he'll take a break for the rest of his high school season. So he doesn't miss those Saturdays. Then he's going to be at the Texas at LSU game. There was no way he wasn't going to be at that game. That is schedule permitting. I mean, they could always have a playoff game Saturday. We'll see where they're at in that regard. So that's schedule permitting, but he will go to all three. It will create a ton of attention. And I'm not saying that's the only reason Easton Royal is doing this. Just don't get me wrong. I think Easton's an awesome kid. I've been to see him twice. He's fun. It's a lot of fun. But he is definitely brand building as well as I've seen somebody through a recruiting process. He's got three fan bases engaged all the time.
Yep. That's a great point. And to the largest and most passionate.
Yes.
Got Longhorn fans engaged, got LSU fans engaged. Who's the third?
Florida.
Is it really? Because it makes it. I actually know LSU fans who are like locked in on this thing. Of course, we know Texas fans are locked in on it. Florida fans locked because is that what his school growing up? That was his school growing up that he wanted to go.
It's weird when you talk to him at either at the high school, either at Brother Martin or at the Under Armour All-America game check-in, which was right around the Citrus Bowl. He said, "I've always kind of dreamed about playing college football in Texas or Florida."
Okay,
right. So he kind of gave a pretty good hint of where that recruitment would eventually go. But obviously he was a big Odell Beckham Jr. fan who wouldn't have been growing up in New Orleans, right? So, I mean, you have all that, and it's come together to create quite a intrigue of recruiting. And the other interesting thing with his recruitment, it's kind of really come together for Easton too. So he commits to Texas on November 29th. The next day, Kiffin's hired at LSU and Sumrall's hired at Florida. He kind of knew the members of Sumrall's staff because it's Tulane and he was in New Orleans. So he had familiarity with those guys in Florida. So they went to coach at a school that he kind of liked already. And now he knows the new staff. I mean, think about how his recruitment could have been different. Think about if Sumrall had gone to Auburn and Kiffin had stayed at Ole Miss.
Man.
If Brian Kelly had not been fired, I don't think this recruitment's even off the ground for LSU.
Man, okay, that's
really fell into place for Easton. But I do think, look, I think he's got a ton of pressure on him, and now it's going to continue on through the season. And I agree with what he's doing. We said, look, this will be a fourth quarter recruitment. All the people recruiting him have said the same. There's I think he's sitting back and just kind of watching things this year, and he's remained committed to Texas. Nothing's changed with the reason he committed to Texas. And he's just going to sit back and watch how everything plays out because, these guys have to consider a lot, Rod. I mean, guys, what if Texas wins it all and Sark gets an opportunity in the NFL? Things can change in a hurry for you as a recruit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's smart kind of what he's doing and letting things play out. Because you don't want to have to make the decision twice. Because he's only going to be somewhere 3 years.
Yeah, he's that kind of freak, and smart on him for the brand building. I mean, it's just smart. So when you just plant no seeds of profitability, when you do accomplish your dreams, you're gonna be that much more valuable as a brand entity. So good for him, smart man. All right, getting back to it. Thank you for that super chat, Juan. We appreciate it. How about the next one up here? How about from Killer 1021? Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Y'all see the 5-star tight end LSU commit sneak diss LSU, saying they aren't doing what they need to do, and other teams are doing more. Do you think the focus on flipping other recruits is hurting them? Jerry,
he's talking about Ahmad Hudson. The one thing and Ahmad Hudson's one of the top tight ends in the country. He's also a high 4-star basketball recruit. Okay, he's a legit high major basketball prospect. I think an interesting thing to watch with that recruitment, the team I hear to watch is Nebraska. And it's almost because of basketball, because of Fred Hoiberg's the coach at Nebraska. And I'm not sure he's hit it off with Will Wade. Well, Will Wade only has 4 players on the roster, so nobody's hit it off with Will Wade. They're waiting on injunctions for about 4 or 5 other guys, but watch the basketball part of that decision, I would say.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah. I mean, a freakish tight end that's also a basketball recruit sounds like a great combination.
He's a dude. He's a dude in both, legitimately.
Yeah. It does. I mean, like I said, that he sounds like a freak. I got to go check out some film. What's his name again?
Ahmad Hudson. He's out of Ruston, Louisiana. Plays for JL3 Elite out of Houston, John Lucas's AAU. So I'm pretty familiar with his hoops game.
Okay.
Like he could actually he would actually have a shot to be an NBA player, an NBA draft pick one day. He's that good in basketball.
Okay, good stuff.
Some people are, wait, he's 6'7". Go look at recent NBA drafts. There's been multiple 6'7" guys drafted. That's why David Punch is going to get drafted.
I trust Jerry when it comes to the hoops, man. I like that. All right, getting back to the super chats. This one from Justin. Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. Says, better in-game play caller, Muschamp or Venables? Oh, that is good. It's been a while for Muschamp officially. He won't admit one way or the other whether he was calling plays or something at Georgia. So that's just him, So we don't really know how that went. So you got to go kind of all the way back to get.
I can tell you my opinion. I think he did, but he's not going to say it.
Yeah, so there you go. Like I said, he won't, and you won't know when it was.
He's trying to help He's trying to help Glenn Schumann and the.
Yeah, well, it's considered like disrespectful. It's just like, no, we're a team. We it was a group.
If he came out and said it now, that would be like.
Exactly, I totally agree. So I understand that. That's a tough one, honestly, Justin, because I'd have to go back and do some research. I'm gonna say off the dome, I'd say Venables right now, just because I don't. It's hard for me to recall, like Muschamp specifically doing it. Because, like I said, I don't know if he's taking credit for his years at Georgia. I don't know if he'll take credit for calling plays there at all. So,
do they both technically have 3 national championship rings as DCs?
Yeah, because Muschamp's got how many at Georgia? He was 22 and 23.
Part of 2.
Oh, so he's got
and one at LSU.
LSU back with Saban, right?
Venables had Oklahoma and 2 with
Clemson.
With Clemson.
Right? Is it the Clemson one?
Was Venables the DC of the 2000 team that won the national title, Oklahoma?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Let me look that up real quick.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm trying to think about his timeline of when he became the DC at Oklahoma. Let's see on that.
No, it's a good. You have to say Venables.
Yeah, he was. He was co-DC and linebacker coach.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So I didn't even realize that Venables. So Venables was
Mike Stoops was probably the play caller.
Yeah.
If Bob technically wasn't on the 2000 team, but he was the co-DC on that team.
That's the whiteboard says Coach Boom. But yeah, I didn't even know that, Jared. I didn't even realize Venables went that old school, that he was the DC at that time, the team that blew my team out.
The original staff, he was the DC with Mike Stoops.
I didn't realize that he was that old school in it. Yeah, and that was Bob Stoops was probably might have been the best defensive mind in college football at the time. Like he was in that conversation.
Yeah,
coming from his time there in Florida. Remember, he said that's the championship formula for them going into the Big 12 was his great defense, but then the air raid offense, which no elite program was running the air raid at the time. No, like blue blood was running the air raid. And then Oklahoma came with the freaking air raid. Mike Leach had already moved on. It was what's his name? Went to Kansas later. Was it him? What's his name? Big guy, Mangino.
Yeah.
Mangino. I believe it was him. Was he the OC at the time?
Yeah,
it might have been him. But they would run that air raid, and trust me, man, everybody was still playing with 4 DBs most of the time. Well, 3 linebackers on the field.
Rod, I can't imagine how frustrating it was because Josh Heupel had 0 arm strength, and you watch it on tape, and you're like, "No, this ain't getting me. He ain't getting me."
Nope, accuracy.
But somehow he got everybody that year.
You know what? Honestly, Applewhite was kind of like that too. Applewhite did not have a gun. He was frustrated because he was a good decision maker. So he'd make the right decision, and he was accurate, and he had such a catchable ball.
Yep.
But getting back to it though, that's what made the Big 12 so freaky at the time, guys. You still had Nebraska, which was a good Nebraska, not Nebraska of today. That was still Nebraska that was like 2 years off winning a national title, right? When Nebraska won national title like 3-4 years before that, they were still competing to win the Big 12. And then you had an Oklahoma coming and running the air raid. So we were defending option football, all right, with fullbacks in the backfield, and also having to defend the air raid offense at its peak, winning national championship. That was a freaky Big 12. Trust me, and I was like a nickel / corner that time. It was wild. All right, getting back to the questions here. Thank you, Justin, for that. That was a good conversation. Taylor, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Says film guy broke down Arch film and highlight how often O-line look lost in basic assignments. What is your level of confidence in Flood today? Oh man, O-line was definitely it was one of the weaknesses of the team last year, right? Oh, there's no doubt about it. And it took them like half the season to really find their groove, and they made some moves on the offensive line. But man, I've said it all season long. I see all off season long that was the big project, fix the offensive line. They brought in reinforcement with Sikorsky and Lawrence Seymour. This is a kind of a referendum on Kyle Flood and Sark a little bit, because that was your major issue. You had all offseason to figure it out. You have Arch Manning as your quarterback. He's projected to be a first rounder. Weapons around Arch right now are as explosive as we've seen them in a long time at Texas. The O-line can really implode the whole thing, but the belief is that Sark focused his entire attention and focus his energy on fixing that problem. If he and Kyle Flood can't fix it, a lot of people are going to wonder, well, why'd you fire PK this offseason? Because that wasn't your big issue, because the offensive line was the issue. So I think they'll fix it. I got faith. Because Sark, usually if there's a big issue, like a Shakespearean flaw, tragic flaw, and penalties is also now added on to this equation, because O-line is a part of that, because your O-line, you had one of the top 5 most penalized offensive lines in the country. So your O-line is a big part of your penalty problem too. He hasn't, I'm gonna say he's usually good about fixing that tragic flaw, or at least improving upon it tremendously and substantially during the offseason. So I have no reason to doubt that they're gonna improve upon both of those things this offseason. So, but
yeah, I always say this when the discussion comes up. I think Sark and Flood are tied at the hip, man.
Mac Brown and Greg Davis. Sometimes that's just
probably his first hire. The guy he's most comfortable with, it's not Flood's scheme. The one thing I've always said is, whether that's a defensive coach or an offensive coach, a position coach, do people think that the corners coach picks the corners and who plays without the input of a DC?
No.
Or a head coach?
No.
Doesn't work that way. That's what I always say. So big year. Let's see what happens.
It is a big year. It's a big year for Sark too, though. I've said that too. Sark should have an elite offense this year. If it's not the best offense, top 20, top 15 offense, that Sark has not had that since he's been at Texas. If it's not in that realm, then something's off. Like, he should have an elite offense by now. He should have been able to build it. PK built an elite defense and got fired already by now. Sark should be able to do that too. I'm assuming, and I'm predicting it's going to happen this year. If not, then maybe it's the O-line that could be the reason why. Thank you for that question. All right, one last super chat of the live stream here from Rocky P. Of course, appreciate you, Rocky P. Says, are we overreacting about safety because of last year's LG play? He said we have elite dudes to play the position, so maybe higher on safety play than most. I'm not down on safety. I just, if of all your issues that you have on the team, safety is probably right behind the O-line right now. And I said this earlier. We recorded a video with my man Jeff. The term that Coach Akini used to always throw around is five. I need a 5-tool safety. And essentially, he wants a safety that has a well-rounded skill set, good against the run, and really good in coverage, asset in coverage, can bring them down in the box, can blitz them. You can do anything with this guy. Basically, a 5-tool player. And right now, you got a lot of 2-tool, 1-tool, 2-tool players. They're not well-rounded skill sets at safety. Kobe Black, great in coverage, but at safety, you don't know if he's going to be a force in the run game. Derek Williams, force in the run game, great alley cat. Last year was a liability in coverage, especially man coverage, which Muschamp's going to play a lot of. So if he can get back to pre-injury Derek Williams, he wins that job and you'll be fine. But we don't know that. Yeah. You don't know if somebody's going to get back to pre-injury. He looks better, but pre-injury, he was a guy that looked like a multiple-year starter for you. Post-injury, that's just how football go, right? And then you got Jonah Williams, all-world prospect, elite skill set overall, elite frame. Who knows if he can make it through training camp and through 3-4 games. He's never done that.
It's just that position. I think that position, because of this change in scheme, that safety opposite McDonald has more questions to be answered than even left guard does, because this is a change in scheme.
Yeah.
So some of the players recruited before Muschamp get here are not going to fit what he's going to ask of the safety. There's a reason he moved Kobe Black to safety. I mean, okay, for the coverage skill, that's a very rangy position. Under Muschamp, rangy coverage position. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Somebody asked, can you move Bo Masco to safety? You can't. He's your best corner. And I still think they need the other corner to step up and come through for him, whoever that wins that job, whether that's Cade Phillips, whether that's Warren Roberson. Obviously, Cade Phillips is the favorite. He's got to come through. There's 2 positions I think they got to figure out. So they can't move Masco off corner. If they moved Masco off corner, it'd probably just be flipping him and Grayson Littleton. And Rod, it was brought up this morning on Coffee and Football. We talked about it. Grayson Littleton fits the coverage spot at safety that Muschamp likes out of that player.
Yeah.
But does he fit the run support in the SEC? He's a damn good football player. He's really good in coverage, but he's not the bigger guy that you want coming downhill on people.
Yeah. No, that's why this secondary is so interesting, because I wonder if it's, and I keep bringing up my secondary from 2001, where it was extremely unconventional. It was just a weird, and Coach Akini came in and he was just looking for the best, because once again, going back to the air raid shocked the system and the ecosystem of the Big 12. So you had to make sure that you didn't have liabilities in coverage, because most of your safeties back then, they would come down to stuff the run, stopping option football, dealing with 21 personnel and old school fullbacks. But now your air raid is like, no, actually that safety better cover the slot wide receiver. And you're like, what the hell? That's a different job description entirely. So Coach Akini came in and was like, listen, I just need coverage guys on the field. I'm going to turn this coverage defender into a guy that will put his face in the fan. I need to find me some guys that can cover, and then I'll find the guys with the attitude that put their face in the fan. And you ended up with corners, myself and Quentin Jammer, everybody in that secondary, Quentin Jammer, myself, Ahmad Brooks, and Nathan Vasher, all were corners. But then you had a Nathan Vasher who was not afraid to put his face in somebody else's face, right? Ahmad Brooks was on our leaders in tackles that year. He was like top 3 on the team in tackles.
585.
Yeah, and he was a smart player, former quarterback in high school, played corner, so he was an asset in coverage, but he was smaller than me. And I measured in at 5'8" at the combine. He was smaller than me, and yet he was a ferocious defender versus the run. So you ended up with this very unconventional secondary in terms of the size and the stature, but it was perfect. And that ended up being one of the top 5 greatest secondaries in Texas football history. I BS you not. Go look at the stats. And I think you could have that this year with all of the very kind of strange pieces. And I think Grayson Littleton, if you moved him, it would remind me of a guy, not like Ahmad Brooks. Their skill sets are very different. But if you're a football investigator, which Quandre Diggs was like this, right? Quandre played corner and played nickel. But when they put him at safety in the league, that's where he made the most plays at safety.
Yeah.
And I always told Quandre, he hated safety, by the way. Quandre didn't like playing safety.
He's probably a lot like Bo Masco.
Yes, he liked playing nickel because he thought he was a better star. He was an adrenaline junkie. But when they put him at safety, he made more plays because he's a football investigator. And what does safety give you? An extra half a second to react to things and more vision, all right, and more access to clues to solve the play, to decipher the play. So he was great. He was like, oh, yeah, then this formation, that personnel, this down and distance. Oh, yeah, I remember the film study. They got 3 plays they like to run out of this. And actually 2 of them I need to be down on the, and he was great at it. And you may get that with a Grayson Littleton. He's got really high football IQ. I know that because I've talked to the young man. I think he's really a smooth athlete. And if he could prove to be a guy that is not afraid to be a force versus the run, you may get a guy unconventionally that fits at that safety spot. It's not always about how it looks. It's about how effective it is.
By the way, I know we got to get to a read, but Harrison Saunders asked us, somebody else asked this earlier, will Muschamp be on the sideline or in the booth? I don't see Muschamp anything other than being on the sideline.
Did you hear the story real quick that Matt Flynn told about Muschamp?
I haven't watched. Yeah, if you sent that, I haven't watched it yet.
He's just real quick. He's telling the story because Muschamp, he says, recruited him.
Yeah,
that he's playing against Muschamp. So Muschamp must have moved on. Maybe he's at Auburn at the time, something like that. This is Matt Flynn. So he said he's quarterback, and he said, and he is up scrambling on a play, and he's running like toward the sideline. And he said as he's running out of bounds, he looks to the side, and he can see Muschamp with that Muschamp look, like the same one where he's about to like explode, right? And he said he's running toward him, and he's like, "Why is Muschamp running toward me?" But he was yelling something, and he said as he got closer, he could hear what he was yelling. And he said he was yelling, "Break his legs! Break his legs!" I thought it was hilarious.
Muschamp came from the win at all costs era.
And then Beth was like, "You recruited me and talked to my mom. What are you talking about?" But it's like the mode that Muschamp gets in. He gets in this mode. And he is extremely intense. So anyway, just throw it out a random Muschamp story. All right, let's thank our sponsors before we get out of here. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer. One more time, we appreciate our friends at Garage Beer, and folks, and you will as well. Best way to get the weekend started is with Garage Beer. They do a great job producing one of the best light beers on the market today. I'm a big fan of it now. It's in my favorite. It's in among my favorite light beers. Only 95 calories, crisp, refreshing, beer-flavored beer to be enjoyed anywhere you're hanging out with friends and family, having a good time. Not trying to impress you with their fancy ingredients or their secret brewing techniques or any of their rich history. Nope, all you care about is that it's great tasting, which it is. And that is only 95 calories. They also have it in traditional and in lime. You can find it anywhere. You do your grocery shopping, you find your wines and spirits. Trust me, at this point, they have Garage Beer. If they don't have it, well, you probably need to find a new place to shop. Also, let's thank our friends over at Poncho one time here, because our new partners at Poncho, folks, this is great. Actually heard my man Bobby talking about this earlier too. Fantastic products. Poncho makes the ultimate performance shirts for the outdoors. See my man Cole McCoy enjoying it there. It's become my go-to for the off season, for the all season long, including the off season. Definitely the best looking and most comfortable shirts you're gonna see. And now they have their game day collection ready to go. Poncho has Texas fans covered for college football season, and they have a special for you right now. So go to ponchooutdoors.com/on-Texas. That's ponchooutdoors.com/on-Texas and enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/on-Texas. And like I said, head there, drop in your email, and you'll get $10 off and free shipping. And once you try one, trust me, at that point, you'll want to add more to your collection because you'll get so many compliments on it. People will be telling you how great it is, and then you'll spread the word about my friends at Poncho. You're going to love how these shirts feel in the Texas heat, and I like the extra pockets. It got the zippers and all that kind of stuff. As you get older, as a grown man, you like zippers and stuff. So get $10 off your first order at ponchooutdoors.com/on Texas when you enter your email. Thanks for the fine folks. Thanks to the fine folks already Poncho for sponsoring On Texas Football, and check out their game day collection. Jerry, before we get out here, would you tell the folks about our friends over at Hayes City Store?
Want a good weekend plan? How about Hayes City Store? One of those places that is just special the minute you walk in. Great atmosphere, well run. It's that scratch-made Texas comfort food too. They got the famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it's absolutely delicious, and all of it's from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice house, perfect for game days. And they even have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City Store is dog-friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. Join the folks at Hayes City Store and bring the whole crew. For more information, check out the website at hayescitystoretx.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas. It's great music, and it's tremendous Texas comfort food.
All right. Thank you to all of our sponsors. We appreciate them. And thank you. Coach Stark has a Muschamp once killed 2 stars in one bird. Yeah, baby. Muschamp's intense. That's why they brought him here, though. I don't think Sark's trying to tone it down. I think Sark wants exactly what he's getting because he thinks his team needed that. That was something they were lacking. And now you got him. Jaluk is kind of intense, too. I think they needed more edge. And Muschamp's got a lot of that. A lot of edge.
Back in the day, when I knew Will was a next level defensive mind and coach and could do it fast moving in game is when Nick Saban took him straight to the Dolphins as associate head coach when he left LSU.
Great point.
Will Muschamp was really young at that time.
Yeah.
In his coaching career. And that was and we knew nothing about Will other than I just remember saying, wow, he took his DC from LSU and made him associate head coach of the Dolphins. And I didn't know much about Will Muschamp at that point in time, but I was like, now you look back and say, that was telling.
That was, yeah, because that was kind of a strange, if you look at his resume now in the path, that was a detour.
Yep.
He came right back to college football. So I'm trying to figure out how, because just a great point. So he essentially was also a prodigy. Forget that about Will Muschamp. Like he was.
Yeah, that's what Nick Saban was thinking about him. Because, I mean, look, he was at Auburn as a GA. He was at West Georgia as a DB coach, at Eastern Kentucky as a DB coach, Valdosta as a DC DB coach. Then Saban hired him at LSU. He was a linebackers coach 1 year. Then he elevated him to DC, 02 through 04. Then they leave to go to the Dolphins, okay? He had 5.5 years. How many years of D1 football? Like 4 of D1 coaching, maybe 3. And Nick took him to be the associate head coach of the Dolphins. You look back on that and say, yeah, there was your sign.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Think about how many guys Nick could have hired in the NFL to be his DC.
Yeah. That's a great point. I didn't think about that. Because you always see that on his resume. Like, man, he went to the Dolphins, but it was Saban like handpicked him. Like, no, man, you coming with me.
That's right.
You're rolling with me. That's a nice little nugget that thrown it out there. And yes, that's one of those great what if stories. Nick Saban going to the Dolphins. If he could have got Drew Brees,
yes,
I think that was the whole thing.
Alabama football would not have had the run they had.
It'd have been a different era because he'd have won. I don't know if he'd have won a Super Bowl or anything like that, but he'd have won games and maybe gotten himself enough street cred to stick in the NFL. That'd change college football forever, or at least for a while. Yeah. All right, good stuff there, Jerry. As always, Matthew, thank you behind the scenes. Matthew does a great job as always. He's the real MVP. You guys had great questions and super chat. Sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but thank you, Juan. Appreciate you, Juan. Rocky P, Patrick, Taylor, Justin. Thank you guys for the super chats. It meant a lot. Thank you to our sponsors. Well, thank you to Poncho, Garage Beer. Thank you to Hayes City Store. Thank you to Prize Picks as well. For Matthew and for Jerry, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until now. Oh, by the way, also don't let me forget. Now's a great time for you to join the OTF fam. All right, great special going on. Thank you. That's why he's the best in the business. He didn't even remind me. I just felt Matthew looking at me like, hey, say it. All right, for $3 for 3 months, limited time offer. Check it out right now. You won't find better coverage, folks. Practice coverage, breaking news, complete team coverage, insider access, recruiting intel. It's all there. One-stop shop over there at On Texas Football. $3 for 3 months. You won't find a better deal than that. If you're a baller on a budget, you need to act now. We talk about a lot here at the YouTube channel, but it's only a fraction, a smidgen of what is actually covered there at OwenTexasFootball.com. Thank you very much, Matthew. All right, for Matthew and for Jerry, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.